Sup, boys and girls? Oh, I can even switch scenes. Yeah. What we're doing today is not what I actually announced. We're not going to do an N8N MCP. We're actually going to configure my server with K3S and Ansible and DigitalOcean and all kinds of things that I actually don't care about, but I do want to get running. I have no idea what I did last time because I actually set up quite a few things. So what I'm going to do today is use Claude and figure it out. And for that, I actually run Claude with SSH basically, and I pointed it at my repo, which has all my config files and other things. I hope I won't expose any credentials because that happens all the time. And if I do, I'll have to figure it out. So I hope that no one really watches. Let's get into it. I think last time I installed Argo CD. It's been really, really long since I did Kubernetes stuff, since I did like admin stuff. I am doing some admin stuff at work, but it's like Terraform and DigitalOcean app platform, so it's kind of different. I do want to get back in K3S. I had to upgrade the size of my droplet, which, I mean, it's $20 a month, but we'll see how far we get. I set up a bunch of, see, like the CPU's at 10%. The memory's pretty fucking high, but whatever. And however, I have no idea what I did last time, and I just know the Argo CD namespace that I set up, it's like looping if you look at these requests. So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, because I asked Claude 4 in here to just like figure shit out for me. And it was like, well, it logged in over SSH, right? And I was like, yeah, well, it looks like all the pods are running. The config is okay. The traffic thing is like actually an issue. It started wanting to patch the configs like straight into cluster, which I didn't want to. So I asked it to like edit the local files. It's weird because I hope that I have at least enough knowledge of what I did last time to be able to recognize if it's going off the rails. That's the one thing I worry about. I'm actually really excited to use Sonnet 4 and Gemini Pro because those were not available when I did that, like ages ago, 4 weeks ago. I think Gemini Pro probably was like available back then, but because it's been March, but maybe I used it even. In any case, I've learned quite a bit. I'm not using Amcode because this is kind of interactive, and also I just want to burn like the insane amount of credits that I have for Cursor now that I don't use it very much anymore. So let's see what it did. We do have a file for installing Argo CD, which installs pip, checks if Kubernetes module is present, creates the Argo CD namespace. Oh, so Ansible has like namespace functionality. It takes the installation manifest and applies it. Then it creates an Argo CD configuration. So all of those things, right? Like I can't manage these manifests in Argo CD itself. So it's really nice to have them in Ansible. It creates Argo CD server configuration because I think it figured out that the config map for Argo CD was empty. And then the Argo CD is looking for a server in secure setting in the config map, but the config map appears to be empty. When Argo CD runs behind a TLS terminating ingress like traffic, it needs to be configured in insecure mode to prevent loops. So I'm actually curious to know how traffic operates. I have a book that I bought like 5 years ago about Kubernetes networking, internals, what it does, how to configure it, Kate's networking in general. And I'm just going to launch a deep research. So I'm first going to do a deep research on traffic in general. So the first one is in depth. The second one, ingress, CRDs, etc. Should it cover comparisons with other ingress controllers? Yes. Are there specific use cases you're focused on? TLS termination, path-based routing. And there we go. We're firing off this research because I do want to understand roughly what the architecture of all of this is. And I also want to experiment with my approach of creating a course every time I learn about, I'm doing something that I'm not very familiar with, and I let LLMs kind of like let them rip. But, I have no idea if this is like really the best pattern. And I also just want to accrue knowledge, right? It's like, I don't need to have the in-depth knowledge of like how to configure all this, like blah, 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 blah. But if I understand the fundamental concept behind it, which is, how do tasks in Ansible work? And especially how are the internals of Ansible implemented, then this allows me to basically map all these tools and concepts back to primitives that I can actually remember. So your mileage may vary, like brains vary. For me, it's much more easy to have a few fundamental patterns and then derive things from them as I need them, rather than remember the end product. And it always was like that. In school, I just like tried to derive everything as I needed it because I couldn't remember shit. Still can't, right? Like my memory's pretty fucking bad. However, if I'm able to kind of map things in my head so that I have like, I don't know what to call them, but like semi-geometrical structures that I can, I really don't know what to call them, but reading things in depth, and then playing around a little bit with them, and often like running into issues is actually the thing that creates a lot of friction to understand how something works. So what I do in the morning, right, to show you a little bit what I do is, for example, yesterday I was trying to debug something where AMP code was writing files that were getting overwritten. And I think this started actually happening again. So it's going to be interesting. And I learned, I tried to see like, oh yeah, can you give me a tool that watches who writes to a file with their process ID and all of these things. And I knew that there was like strace from the old days, and there's like BPF, which is the Berkeley packet filter, but actually is now turned into something in Linux that is not just a firewall thing that it used to be on BSD back in the medieval ages, but is now a way to hook probes and like little observation VM programs into the kernel at different points. So you can say like, oh, well, I want to hook up to the write syscall. Actually, I want to hook up on the entry point and the exit point of the write syscall. You can do all kinds of stuff. And the suggested solution they gave me like kind of worked, but were like a pain in the butt to look at. So I decided like, let's create my own. However, this was also a learning opportunity for me. The last time I did kernel development was 10 years ago. The last time I like really looked into BPF was 5 years ago, and things have changed since then. And also I don't like know the nitty gritty of it. I do have a book. So I always recommend like buy books that you don't read. Just like buy these kinds of books and get a sense of what is inside, and like maybe their table of content, and maybe read the intro, read like a couple of chapters, just so that you know that you have a book on your shelf that contains this kind of knowledge, right? So I know that this book contains a shit ton of little tools that you can use as a reference. It also has just like a lot of like different performance metrics that you can do. And this was before LLMs, right? But even with LLMs, it's great to know, oh, there's like a chapter somewhere in this book that has like a ton of little snippets for doing X, Y, Z. Because now you can just take that chapter, paste it into an LLM, and then that kind of distill this thing to your application at hand. But you do need to have this like core understanding, like what is a BPF probe, for example, right? And my knowledge is like, I kind of understand the concept, right? Which is like hooking into a syscall, but it doesn't have the subtlety that I think I need to have to really understand what is possible with it. And what the limitations are, because we are in a very limited context, right? In the kernel, communicating between kernel and user land in a very like VM restricted language kind of framework, and especially knowing that things in the Linux kernel tend to change actually relatively quickly, so that I don't know if like what I knew from like 5 years ago actually still kind of applies, and how easy, for example, things have become. Like, what are the new tools that exist? So after generating this little program, and I was really impressed that like Sonnet 4 basically wrote BPF without even a syntax error, without like any issues. Like it just worked, even as I asked it like fairly complicated things. And what I did after that was like, basically I asked it like, please make me a full course about eBPF to teach me how this has all been implemented. I posted the code that it had written from the lower fundamentals on, because I find fundamentals always like kind of easier to remember and understand than all the stuff up on top. If you boil like complicated things down, for example, React, at its core, React is really easy. It's like data comes in, and then functionally you generate a DOM, and then something uses the diff between the current DOM and then this computed DOM, and just like applies the changes to the real DOM, right? So to me, that's React in my head. It's like functionally transform data into DOM elements and then diff them. That's it. And using that knowledge, I think I could. So there's hooks, of course, which I actually never really dug into, and I'm actually going to create a course about hooks so that I can finally understand that stuff. But that's kind of enough to create a prototype, personal implementation of like React, right? And so that's the knowledge I file away. Similarly for Redux, I'm just like, yeah, it's just a reducer pattern, even though Redux obviously has a lot more complexity in how things are actually done. Knowing this organizational pattern, I will be able to like dig into the Redux source code. I will be able to understand most of the error messages. And the cool thing with LLMs is that that's actually enough these days. Like, I don't even need to know all this garbage on top that changes like every 2 weeks. And that is ultimately irrelevant. The pattern still holds. So I'm going to say, make a course for me to understand how hooks in React work. My functional programming background is pretty solid, but might need refreshing. I think it has to do with algebraic types and side effects. It's kind of like the keywords I remember. So internals, step-by-step exercises to create my own hooks framework to really understand it. Yeah. Oh, no, that's not how it works, right? Why don't I have the option to do a deep research? What the fuck is going on? All right, here we go. Anyway, I'm going on tangents as is usual. A refresher on relevant, yes. I'm pretty familiar. Yes. Both. Yes. Internals. All right. So this is going on. See, and then these courses, what I do in the morning, I print them out. In the morning, I literally print these guys out and just like take them to the coffee shop and like read them, right? So yesterday I was interested in Redis as well, but you can see like this is the BPF course, which is actually more an outline of a course. So I started asking it to do like full featured chapters, which is really, really cool, but it has exercises everywhere. And so I started doing some of these exercises, knowing that this is like a distraction of what I actually need to do. I didn't get too deep into it, but say like I have a Redis course as well. Just because I was on Twitter and I saw someone talking about how cool Redis is. I'm like, yeah, Redis is really cool. So I generated like a Redis course with exercises and a lot of code. And if I go through these exercises, which I might, depending on how deep my knowledge should go, I don't turn off the chat, because I use the chat to ask a lot of questions. And if something's just like tedious to write, I'll just say like, yeah, please write it. What I'll turn off though is autocomplete. Because autocomplete kind of like shortcuts my brain and doesn't give me the time and to actually think about what I should write. So I find that very, very distracting, actually, like deleterious to my is deleterious a word in English? Délétère in French. Let me see. I find it so cool that I can just like learn so much stuff from French to English with these things that are délétère. No. Délétère, as in harmful. I don't even know if that's harmful, deleterious. All right. That's my trick. It's like when I don't remember an English word, I use the French word, and then I sound like super cultivated. People are like, what is deleterious? I'm like, it's just because I couldn't remember toxic or harmful for that matter. All right. Anyway, really, really important to know like these kind of low-level things, or like to use the occasion as your... oh yeah, thanks, James. Deleterious. I don't know if it's like a common word or not, but usually these like Latin words tend to be like a little bit fancy, on the fancier side. So, but then English is great because it has like this huge vocabulary that I almost never miss. And that's like the beauty of the English language, right? It's like there's just so many nuances and words that you can choose and pick from, while other languages, say like French, just like have such lyrical kind of grammar, which is hard to emulate in English. But I am digressing. We're actually doing some Argo CD stuff. So I remember a couple of things. Say I remember what a config map is, but I forgot what it exactly was. You know, that it was like a thing. Now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a config map. That's cool. And how do they work? Kind of don't really know. Do I really care that this is how you write a config map? Not really. But also I'm like, okay, well, what is part of? Is that like, what does that even mean? Are these just labels? Are these like common labels? What are they used for? Those kinds of questions I'll ask in little chats, right? Thank you, James. I try to be fancy. Actually, I don't, but I swear a lot as well. All right, where was I? So yeah, these kinds of questions. So I don't know how deep I'm going to go into this, but I want to show you, like, it's just the perfect... LLMs are really just perfect to actually learn the stuff you're generating, right? But you learn because you're staying in a it's weird, right? You're staying in a vibe kind of thing, which I think is not that conducive to learning and remembering things, because the friction's pretty low. Sometimes that's okay, because I do only need to keep this like high level surface stuff, because you can only remember so much in a week, and maybe other shit is more important. But also, it's so easy to get back up to speed. Like, I generated all of this last 4 weeks ago. I had like no memory of where I left off. I just was like, yeah, I should like install K3S on DigitalOcean, and I saw like, oh, there's like a droplet running, and it's like, oh, okay, seems that I did quite a few things, but the README was out of date. So I just like went in and said like, look, where did we leave off, please? Like, here, do your SSH thing and just like figure it out. And it was able to do it. And as I go, I can like ask all these questions about how does this exactly work? Like, what is traffic, right? Just go to like deep research here. All of these things, it's just like, it's just amazing. What the fuck is that? Like, every time. This is, the future of software engineering is here. I was making a joke, like the history of chats is just such an amazing feature here that really you can't just like, it's like AGI is here. Like, what the fuck is this history thing? Like, it's so bad. It's been 2 years. And like, literally, if I go to Claude, right? Like, Claude is even worse because it's so slow. the library. Like if I go here, oh, it's fast today, like when I want to show it, of course. But I have 2,000 chats, but what I can do is like make a nice LLM chat history library browser with tags, folders, notes, etc. And if I just do that, like I'll have something that's like way better than whatever this is. So anyway, tangent, we were trying to figure out why Argo CD, when I go to it, like loops, it tells me that server.insecure has to be set to true, which I assume means that Argo CD was trying to do the redirect from HTTP to HTTPS on its own, but because it's now only exposed as HTTP and exposed through traffic, it doesn't need to do so. However, I don't even remember where we did our traffic setup. So, because I thought I had set up Nginx, but I guess not. So what is it asking me? Become password? Is it going to ask me every time? I hope not. I remember that was something last time where I was like, this is like a little bit annoying. Did I actually kick off the research on traffic? Is it finished? Yeah. So a lot of other little cool things that you can do here. Man, this is a short course, isn't it? Look at that. Why can't it be like that? Programming, and can I do subfolders? Right? It's all this stuff is like so in reach. I don't even know what this is. Saltnet. Man, it has like favorites. All of this stuff is working. It's like crazy. I can look for... Can I click on the models? No, I don't know. I don't know what this is for. Oh, it's the sorting. Gotcha. I should make something like that. Anyway, that was my little rant. Because actually AGI is here, right? I just asked it, like, do me this, and it was able to do it. So anyway, this is how traffic works. I will probably print this out, and then, because the cool thing is you have like a PDF export, which sometimes works. And then I actually just like literally print it out, because this is like cool. This is like the good stuff. It has links to all the kinds of resources. It has like examples. I can point it to the GitHub repo, right? And say like, oh, please like look at how it's all implemented. Yeah, this actually doesn't seem to be all that in depth. So I would have to refine my search. So I'm not going to print that one out because it doesn't look exactly what I would need. However, we waited too long for the tool call, which is good. Because I'm going to ask it, like, explain how we set up traffic and what it does. Then continue. And actually, I'm going to save that in a file. Save that in a file, exhaustive and detailed, in ttem052602, how our traffic setup works. .md. And I use these names, these very long explicit names, because it makes it easier for me to know what's in there and what my intent was when I created them, instead of calling it like traffic setup. Because then was it a to-do that I used to set up traffic? Like, what was it? It's like, oh no, this is, and you know, I could use actually like a little library management thing like this for my ttemps. And actually, why don't we do it? Why don't we use that? Why don't we actually create something like that? Okay, so this is actually pretty cool. Because we're going to use M code in parallel, like we're going to do the full-on vibe code experience here, agentic coding. I'm going to finish this little thing that I have over here. Why is this flagging some errors? I don't know. Maybe I should do go restart language server. You can see this little tool that I was talking about last time or earlier, this BPF tool. This is what's running here, and I hope it can catch like errors like this. And it's running, has like a nice little web interface, right? If I go into my experiments folder and I go into sniff writes, I think that's the thing I'm debugging, and I like open the README, I see the writes appearing, right? I think this is kind of broken because it actually was filtering out the opens and close. So now I think, yeah, it's not showing the opens and close, but I think that's because I specified it on the command line to filter those out. So there's like a bunch of things, but you can do so much with, you know, it puts these like in local storage. So if I reopen it, they're still there. It's just pretty amazing, right? Like I see the little diffs here. I don't know. It's just wild. It's just wild. This took me like 20-30 minutes, right? I still can't believe it. And I had it like re-architect all of this and like move it into PKG and add like the last thing I asked it, actually, that's I didn't even, this was just before I started streaming, is like now it should have a REST API and a database thing. So let me just like quickly test this out before I commit it and merge it. So if I restart it, see, I had like the read and write filter over there. So nope, localhost. So now it should have like a way of searching in the database, which I don't see here. And it has like a REST API as well. So why doesn't it show me that? SQLite. I don't think it added a UI to do that. What did it do here? What was the last thing I did? Now I understand the structure. Let me build a new functionality. Add a toggle to search past data. I don't think it updated the UI. Okay, so that's good. Add a UI for the filtering now and tell me how to use the REST API for the filtering history export. In addition to the current live view. While we're doing this, the project I want to do is this like nice API to navigate basically all these ttemp files, because yeah, now it's time. Like this has been going on for too long. It's too easy now to build things to manage this kind of stuff, and I really should also eat my own dog food because I keep ranting about people and then I don't do it better. So we're going to create a new file in here. It's going to call it like library prototype from Claude.tsx, which is this code, right? And it's not that I want to use the TSX code per se. It's I want to use it as a basis for how should I do it? Should it be like a web tool? Should it be like a VS Code extension? I don't want to learn how to do a VS Code extension right now, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little chat, and I'm going to say, I manage all these temporary files in ttemp, use find and look at a few, and want to manage them with a nice web UI to search and create new ones and tag them. I want the metadata to be handled in a YAML preamble. And then there's a prototype UI in 01 library prototype from Claude, but I'm also attaching a screenshot because I love screenshots. So let's make a nice screenshots. While the prototype is for managing chat transcripts, it should be pretty similar. Build a ttemp file management software in Go plus Cobra plus Temple plus plain JavaScript. Use a PKG folder, separate CSS, Bootstrap, and JS files from templates. Build, but first write a full spec in ttemp 250525 no 2602 ttemp browser UI design document.md. And are we going to use Claude for Sonnet? I think this was like always like a little bit too much in terms of what it all does. But also, you know, let's try it. Try to not go overboard, but do something pragmatic. I don't know if that's like good prompting for Sonnet. And so in the meantime here, you can see how the API.go stuff gets modified by, I think, Cursor. The thing is like, I wonder if it's actually doing the thing that I was freaking out about last time, where it was like modifying code and then it looked like it wasn't applying that. Doesn't look like it's doing it this time, but it definitely happened 2 days ago. And it happened yesterday, actually. And it was like similar to this kind of stuff, right? Where suddenly it was like not able to find the exact changes. And that is always very weird, because then it would like open the file itself. See, and it's not able to write it. So I think the thing we can look at is like it was trying to do these edits, and then some of these edits are going to be missing. So we can start looking at these edits. So it added API and database. Oh, this is server.go. So if we go to API.go on line, what line is this? 68. Handle events. What was it changing here? It added it as a uppercase, so that's something that it applied. And I'm sorry for the tangent, but this is the thing that was like freaking me out yesterday, so better do it. So this seems to have applied as well. This one here, handle export, has applied as well. This handle stats probably has applied as well. Handle health looks good too. And then here it's not able to apply this to server.go. Okay, so server.go. Did you see? And this is exactly what I was talking about. In server.go, it has added these two things, except it hasn't, right? And it's not something that it has tried to remove later on. Is like server.go literally didn't apply these changes because something maybe has like interfered with it. And then I'm sure this like start server hasn't applied either. And I really don't know what happened here, right? Like start server, it changed it to DB database SQLite, so that worked. But because the import didn't apply, it has this weird issue where it says like, well, I'm trying to edit it, but it's like it doesn't edit what I added before. And so it like turns into this like weird spiral loop because this first edit was either overwritten or not applied. And so this is why I wrote this tool, which hopefully now, the thing is that, oh, look at that. So there's reads. See, I kind of missed it. The thing is that this was fairly reproducible when I tried it. And however, the only writes here are the writes from cursor. The thing is that this is stored in a database, but I can't like browse it right now, which is exactly what I'm trying to build. Because I do want to see the content that was written in those writes and the content that was read. So I think the content that was read, I can't read it because it's in the user land ultimately. So it's like hard to sniff. And maybe I need to read more about eBPF here. So it's a little bit too bad that we are running into this issue, even though we're not ready to fully have the code to debug it. So I really wonder what it is, because I don't see any writes from something else. So it does point towards a bug in AMP code. And it does point towards a bug in AMP code because if I start a new conversation, it's not going to happen. However, if I stay in this conversation, it's going to continue to happen. So if I tell it like, oh, I fixed it, we're going to see what happens. And in the meantime, this other agent that's going to be writing a little bit of documentation is running. And I say we're like in the early days of agent programming because this is like a pain in the ass to kind of keep an overview on, right? Like I have this tab like here, and they have like a lot of little text and I don't really know where they're at. And the one thing I want to have is basically have something like a GitHub project view, or like, you know, like a Kanban Jira view, where I can see what the individual agents are doing and then being able to click on it and see a little bit more in a detailed fashion if they need my input, if they need all of that. So that's something we can at least have an MCP where it interacts with the GitHub project view. I tried a few, I tried writing my own. It's actually not that easy because the whole project's API in GitHub is a little bit obtuse. It's like GraphQL. It uses like custom fields for issues. So I was able to create issues, but then moving them around in the lanes and like doing all that kind of stuff, like having them toggle to like done, completed, that was like a little bit tricky. So let's see, however, we do have now hopefully like a UI that maybe will help us see what had been going on in the previous, in this buggy part, right? So now I have a history search, and we were having this bug like 10 minutes ago. So yeah, today, and then maybe from 6:30 p.m. to what the fuck am I doing? 26 to 8 p.m. File name pattern was server.go, right? And then read, write, search. Unexpected character at line 11. So this is the JSON endpoint returning crap. Let's try this again. This is internal server error. We don't have any logs over here. So, all right, so we need to add logs, but first I'm going to commit. And I guess, you know, it's Memorial Day stream, it's a holiday, so I'm not following any kind of pattern. Not that I am all that much during the week. Add some broken stuff, but that is still features I do normally mark with sparkles and poop. Tells me like, oh, it's something that like is nice, but it kind of doesn't work. Added search history page broken search. So we're going to fix that. The first thing I'm going to add here, if we go back to our other editor, is basically I'm going to start a new one. I'm going to say like add zero log debug logging, because I don't think we have much in terms of logging yet. I don't think we have verbose output, but that's more about the output itself. And then we have debug show all events. That's not what we want. Add zero log debug logging. C 15 using commands. No, I don't know. There's like code that has this like init logging stuff that I kind of want to have. So is that what I want to have? Yeah, so logging init logger from Viper is the thing I want to have. So we're going to go back to amp code, add zero log debug logging, and look at embeddings main.go for init logger. And I do have in labs, in the third-party glazed stuff, I do have some documentation about this, don't I? I really need an MCP to browse my own documentation. Yeah, so this guy here, I logging readme.md, right? So this is the one. C logging readme.md. To command experiments sniff writes. That way we can debug the REST handlers. And yeah, there we go. Because that way we'll be able to see what kind of is going on here. We have a lot of things going on here on the same time. So we do, it's not able to find like some metadata. So I will probably have to ask it to come up with its own, but I suspect with Sonnet 4 for a T10 browser, and sorry for jumping across projects, I know this is probably very confusing for people on stream. I will, however, I'm building on the side, like I'm building this like sniff rates web UI so I can debug the bug we just had. Finishing that, I explained how I generated a course about BPF and all the like complicated stuff that's going on in there. On the same time, I want to organize all these like temporary files that I'm creating, which store documentation, which store all kinds of other stuff. And to do that, I generated a prototype in Claude AI on the website because I like these artifacts. And then I'm asking Sonnet 4 here to create a design document. And I hope that this design document is not going to be too much, but I think it's going to be, because when I gave Sonnet plans to Sonnet, it just like went completely berserk. It also went berserk because it had this bug that I kept running into. So I might be like a little bit too confused. Sorry, I have to like try to keep track of the comments here as well as they go in. So James, it does happen. It did happen when the context window was actually at 30% last time. I thought also like, oh, is this when it's going full? But no, it's actually a real bug. I think it generates the right diff, and it also says that it applied the right diff, except it wasn't applied. And so one suspicion I had was that either like Go language server or some kind of like autosave Go format or cursor maybe even was like kind of sneakily writing a different version after the fact. And it might still be the case, right? But then I opened a new chat and it didn't happen on the same file. The first time it happened to me, I also had like a couple of cursors like running in the background. So I was like, oh, maybe there's like an old cursor running because I disabled the autosave and stuff like that. But I'm now pretty sure there's something else going on. And I do want to see like, okay, who writes what? Does the edit tool, when it says it has applied something, did it actually write that thing? Or did it get overwritten later on? Those are the things that I kind of want to figure out. So I don't think it's a problem with like Sonnet. Like I know what you're referring to, where it was like, it tends to hallucinate, for example, on like white space, significant white space, right? Like when the context window becomes fuller, it will start like skipping white space, or it will like maybe use different quotes for a certain string, or like maybe it will start like using snake case instead of camel case. Like it starts to have like a little bit of dementia, right? And then obviously these like fairly trivial edit file tools, which is like replace old string with new string, would obviously not be able to apply the old string because like a space is missing or something. So it's not that. It's not that. This seems like a much more genuine bug. because I can see it doing the right thing and saying it applied it correctly, and it just be missing. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's their edit file, right? Like if I see that, oh, like it says that a write happened, but I can't find a write at all in my logs, then I'm like, okay, well, your edit file seems to be a little bit funky. If I see that like go format comes afterwards and just like race conditions overwrites it, then like I know, okay, so there's like some weird setup here that we should take into account. So I don't know. I suspect it's the edit file tool that maybe does buggy shit. Also, I wonder. Yeah, there's a new version of AMP, so maybe I should update as well. It was released 30 minutes ago. Great. I also I sent them the bug report. I don't know if that's like that made sense. Like I still suspect there might be something on my side, right? Because like other people are bound to have. I mean, it's easy to not notice it happening, to be honest. So yeah, well, just like they should just open source it and give AMP, and then everybody has like direct access to AMP and can just like file their bug reports. I don't know where this is all going to be going, right? Like I hope that they do something like Cloud Code SDK. And I don't know, James, like maybe you work at SourceGraph. I don't know, before I start like just spouting my usual nonsense. But I hope they have like something like Cloud Code SDK, which is like a little bit more, like it's so easy to add features as well, to add like some kind of API from outside so that we can start building our own like agent management tools. I don't know. Let me restart extensions actually, since nothing's going on. Oh, I did restart extensions. All right, so we do have now zero log setup, global logging flags, added debug logging and log level flags to control logging verbosity. Did we do that? Yeah, this is weird-ish because actually log level debug, right? So if I go build this, actually, why do I think that I need to always build this? I should just like sudo go run dot monitor log level debug enable debug logging. What's the difference between these two? I don't know. And then here on the other side, it like created this this design spec. The thing that I find hilarious is that Sonnet does like estimation of how long this will take, and they're in weeks. I was like, no, bro, they're in minutes. Find that hilarious. Like during 1 week. Okay, cool. Full text search implementation, web interface number 2, front end interactivity, polish and optimization. So the things I'm going to edit here, and I don't think this is like the greatest plan ever, huh? You know what? I'm going to have like O3 do one as well. What's going on here? Oh, is it running? If I go to server.go and I do... Yeah, so I don't want to see the lost samples, to be honest. Lost samples. The Warren. Kind of don't want that. Because it's just... Oh, it's because I asked the debug, right? Config debug. So if I remove the debug logging, do I still get debug logging? I got debug logging enabled. And then if I go to the web API and I click search, what happens? Man, I'd still get this because I have verbose on. No. Oh, okay. I'm just going to move it here. And I can see it like mixing two log libraries. I don't want that. Replace all the existing log stuff with 0log. Also add debug logging to the REST endpoints because we are getting 500s. A rank amateur. Yeah, who isn't? Everybody is, right? Like that's one of my takes is like LLMs are like fundamentally incomprehensible for humans, right? Like we have no way of grasping what it means to have like a billion parameter model trained on trillions of tokens of text with all kinds of tool call stuff going on and the mass of information that they're able to pattern match. So like fundamentally, these things are just like outside of our comprehension. And it also means that a lot of because it's human language and every human actually knows how to deal with human language, a lot of knowledge can be gained from everybody basically, right? Because everybody has like a very experienced and nuanced understanding of language, which is represented in the training corpus, and more and more people are getting like their own experiences with these models, and in a certain way they're like mirrors of the way you communicate, right? So if you communicate a certain way, it's going to resonate with a certain part of the training corpus in a certain way, and you're going to like hone your skills communicating with this like probabilistic mirror of what you input and discover what's useful. And that's going to be fundamentally different than what I figure out is useful. And that's why I'm so annoyed that people are like copy pasting prompts from each other. I'm like, no, like you should build your own prompts, because not only will they work better because it's all about this like kind of mirroring how language works, but you will uncover many things that other people don't uncover and what they can do, right? Like there's the more and more we reinforce these models, and the more we like try to make them do the thing that has been common practice in software engineering. By like a good example is like this fucking security features here. Like who fucking cares about this stuff? Wait, this is not what I wanted. Where's my design? Like there's stuff in there that like, sure, it's cool, but like, it doesn't mean anything. It just says like, yeah, your performance should be fast, which is like, yeah, okay. Like, what is it going to be? Like slow? But also this actually derails models. And the only reason it's here is that people think that this is good language. But, oh, sorry, I'm not showing my screen. I'm looking at this non-functional requirement and the design that it is. Like, who fucking cares about this stuff? Like, it's the same way where every project is like kind of like simple, flexible, and like powerful. This is a simple, flexible framework to do powerful web applications. Like, yeah, okay, like this means absolutely nothing. And as such, it's just going to, like, why were models reinforced to add this? Because the only thing they do is like actually derail the LLM, which is going to pattern match on like performance, and suddenly it's going to pull in like, you know, it's going to pull in all the stuff that kind of is under the training corpus of books like these, which are complicated things that you actually have zero interest in having in your first prototype. So I'm annoyed that people think that this is something that should be like, this sounds like, oh yeah, it would be a good idea to reinforce it on saying like, see, so these things are more useful here. The content security one, you do want to have something that like maybe explicitly says to escape things. But here, those are things that are also, in my view, should be like more on the agent side, right? Because even if it's in there, it doesn't mean that it will like be done properly, and especially not validated properly. And then it's going to, like, in the same breath, it says like, consider basic authentication, which is totally not the way you do security these days, right? And then respect the file permissions. Like, yeah, like how should I not respect them? You know what I mean? It's like if I don't have permission to read it, I can't read it. So that's why the first thing I do is like remove this kind of like weird slop. And then the future enhancement, that's like really crack cocaine for Sonnet 4, right? It's like going to be like, I'm going to add Elasticsearch and multi-user support. It's like, no, you don't. And then success metrics is also something where it's like zero data loss. Like, why tell a model that, right? And I know it starts from a good intention, but please let people like kind of discover that on their own, maybe. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like, that's why like a lot of good vibe coders I found, like people who build stuff that's like cool, are people who don't know how to do software development, because them not being conditioned on how you should speak to build software, which is how we need to communicate as experienced software developers, as being like, you know, add CSRF. Like they don't know, and they say like, yeah, I want to log in with my phone, or you know, and it's like all about intent. And as such, models getting better and better at understanding this intent and then actually decomposing it to stuff that has been reinforced, right? Like it's good that it's been reinforced on CSRF. And maybe the side effect of that is like always outputs its slop, but I don't think so. I think it's been trained on so many documents that have a section that's called security consideration, because it was like synthetically generated. The person who decided that synthetically generating security consideration is doing such damage at the large scale. I don't know. And the plan, I can already tell here, this plan is just like too much. It's like too detailed. It's not enough intent, and it's more like about the way it's built that it's not going to be great. And it's like, that's, I think, one of the issues with Sonnet as a designer is that it just like does too much. So I'm going to burn a bit of money. I'm going to try O3 here in Cursor, or maybe I should start O3 over here. Maybe I should say like, actually, this plan is not great, too detailed, doesn't communicate intent. It should be more strategic and less low-level developer detail. Please write a second one in 03 T10 browser UI design document, take 2, starting afresh. And we'll see what O3 does with this, even though it's already been primed with this like first document. So I don't know. Experimentation time. All right, well, this guy is working. Let's go back to our logging, debugging the error 500 we have in this other tool. So I can see it just adding like a bunch of logging error things here. That's great, that's great, that's great. I don't think I need to like look too closely at what it did, because it's only logging and it seems to have used the right pattern for logging. So what we're going to look at now is just like basically what happens when I do the search, right? And we can see database not initialized. Okay, so that means I didn't save the data from my previous one, and it probably means that I do need to have here the DB SQLite, and then I'm going to say history DB. So that's why it should data events is null. I don't know what that means. But what I'm going to show here is that I want this to percolate to the front end, right? Like when there is no database, disable the search part of the UI and explain why. Also format errors in the HTTP response for REST requests, and have the JS display them to not surprise the user. I'm just going to paste the line here, and then we're going to go. So I created a new document here. This is O3 now, and let's compare the O3. Even though it was primed both by the Sonnet and then me taking it like start afresh and do XYZ, it might like have overdone it compared to what it would have done on its own. So, but finding, connecting, extending. So this is great, right? Like this is actually what I want to have in a design document, because I do want to go with the grain of the LLM and not, I want to go with the grain of the LLM, and I don't want to like enforce too much bullet points, because the model is going for each bullet point to do like its own little pass. And that's going to be too many little passes. And right, like I wanted it to like basically one shot the thing, because I'll know in this one shot things are going to be very consistent in a way. And also, I don't care how it's done. I don't care about any of this, right? But however, I care about what I want it to do. So this is, I like this one. And so maybe the fact that I mentioned intent is like why I went so hard into things like instant search results reinforce habit forming use. But this is pretty nice, right? And so that's what I found. Like O3 as architect, then followed with Sonnet 4 and AMP code was like is how I built this guy. So from the CLI, I can temp new idea and immediately start writing in a pre-filled. Yeah, this is all pretty good. The success criteria, this is, I think, influenced by the Sonnet structure that it saw before. So that I actually don't care about the success criteria. All right. In-memory inverted index replaced with SQLite as it grows. I do want to have Levy. And here the roadmap is also like influenced by Sonnet. I've never seen O3 do that on its own, so it was like done before. So we're gonna remove this. Open questions. Should this be stored? And then I kind of don't need this either. We want a single binary, that's cool. And then indexing, Levy, Golang, search engine. I don't know what this is for. Let's remove that too. Yeah, okay. Actually, browser VS Code extensions. That's pretty cool. I can batch edit tags, key user stories. And temp. Yeah, all right. So this is good. I think this is decent. Let me switch back to a model that's cheaper so I don't forget next time. You've used up our credits. Oh shit, like already? Fuck me. This is like a really expensive habit, man. Not used when you're in a team. That's like $10, right? So this ate up $10. All right, guess here we go again. Oh wait, I only got $25. Oh, whatever. We'll buy more. Yeah, it is fucking addictive, isn't it? Do I need this temp tool? Really? I don't need it. I want to continue on my Argo CD. Because ultimately at the beginning I was actually wanting to work on our traffic setup and get Argo CD to run. So we'll continue there. What I ultimately actually want to do is I set up my droplet with like K3S and Argo CD, and for some reason the Argo CD is redirecting wrongly, and yeah, and I wanted the explanation. I'm starting to realize, oh shit, it's already 7:30. All right, well, we'll see how long we do here. That's why I'm tired. So I was saying that, yeah, I want my Argo CD to run, and the problem is that it was redirecting, but now it works. Holy crap, this is great. Why was this like weird redirect? Did you see that? It was like showing me the logged in version and it was like, nope. So let me quickly just get the password for this without showing it on screen. Where's the loading password? Because it showed it to me before. Let me get the Argo CD admin password. Yes. So does this work? Argo CD very clever.ai. All right, it works. Oh my God, this is amazing. Like it basically debugged, I guess, what's something that's like pretty subtle, or like not pretty subtle, but like traffic was doing the TLS endpoint, and then Argo CD was assuming that it was running as its endpoint itself, and it was doing an HTTP redirect, and this thing said like, oh, you need a config map, you need to set this. I'm going to add it to Ansible. It did that pretty flawlessly, right? Like I just had to show... I just had to like tell it to do these things. So that is pretty good. And then I had it like explain to me how all of this works, how this is set up. And K3S, I guess, does set up traffic per default. So that's good. And I realized that I exposed my password on screen. So let me change that. How do I change the password? How do I change the admin password for Argo CD? One day I'll get better at not exposing my credentials on stream. Oh. No, this needs to run remotely. You showed it to me earlier. How did you do that? I guess while we're doing this, so we can change it remotely with kube control. Method number 1. We can install the Argo CD CLI and then install it. So no, install the Argo CD CLI using Ansible. Always use Ansible. So that's cool. Then it will run Ansible to do it, right? So that everything's like kind of immutable, which is great. Start a new chat for better results. So it's starting to get full in here. All right, we do have an installation log. So before we start a new chat, I'm going to update the installation log so we know how to continue. And while this is running, I'm going to use O3. I'm going to say make an Argo CD set of manifests Kate's manifests to run Libra chat on a Kate's cluster using Argo CD. We'll see what happens. Change admin password, Argo CD, login around, lookup env, domain name, password, Argo CD current password, and then default Argo CD secret resources data password, B64 decode, login, and then it does update password with the current password. New password is Argo CD new password, where Argo CD new password is defined. So how does this work? Where does Argo CD new password come from? Is he going to ask me for the name? All right. This is sick, man. So get Argo CD current admin password. Okay, well, that's on stream, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to switch again. I'm just going to run this actually. Update the password to a new password generated randomly and then show it to me. And then I will clear this transcript and hopefully no one's going to snipe my Argo CD. La la la. Come on. Only downside of Ansible is that it's fucking slow. Because it needs to do all this back and forth over SSH, which for some reason is like super slow. I don't know if it's like keeping a connection open, if it's doing a new connection every time. If it's just my droplet being slow. We'll see. What I find pretty amazing with Sonnet 4 is like pretty much everything works. It has like a really fresh cutoff date. And that actually really makes a big difference, right? Like, because every little hiccup now, right? It has this like hugely proportionally kind of completely ridiculous effect. If I like need to hunt down a typo and it takes me 10 minutes, that's like the time to do 3 full apps if it didn't happen to have a typo. It's like a very weird thing to kind of wrap my head around. Okay, so did this work? All right, the password change was successful. So let me update this in my... Right, so is this going to update? Yes. Okay, so it updated. gonna make sure that I clear this session and that I clear it in my clipboard as well. Because we're learning. All right, we can now go back. And actually, no, before we go back, I do want to update this like installation log. So I am going to show this chat where I do have all the passwords. And so now I'm going to say update installation log with all we did in this session. Then also create a... No, I don't know what we all wanted to do anyway over this, but we're going to start like installing this like little Argo CD app, which I guess is running. We have like a demo app running, which seems to be URL program with AI, no available server. So we'll check that out next. Let me just update the installation log, then I'll switch back to my computer screen, and we'll see where we go from there. And I'll probably do like 30 more minutes of this. Because then I have like 40 rolls of film to develop, so I kind of want to do that afterwards. And I vibe coded before vibe code was like the hype, but like fairly recently, right? It's just like before vibe coded was the keyword for it. On this Flipper Zero, I've got like a little film agitator, like for agitating my thing. I should do a session about how I vibe coded basically some embedded C, and had to struggle a little bit with the C. So I guess this doesn't show my password. It would be stupid to have the password, and it does show my password. Jesus fucking Christ. I love that. So is this password like being shown somewhere else? Oh yeah, it does show it like multiple times. All right, cool. We can go back to a new chat. And maybe we should git commit this. Since we're doing git ops, might as well git commit it. Are we in a good one? Yes. Git stat, git add, gtemp. Gonna remove the Argo CD binary, and then we're gonna say ambulance fix traffic HTTPS redirect on Argo CD. And what we're going to do now is like explain how the example app in Argo CD apps is set up, and how to reach it. And if I might need some DNS updates. Yeah, let's start with that. Where we're at in our other dude. So we got the logging done. Great, no compilation errors. So if I restart this guy, so it's doing the lost samples logging, which I kind of don't want to have. Lost samples. Why is it doing it on config.debug? Data too short. Got 0 byte. Expected 112 bytes. So did it break something? Oh, it's because and then if record lost samples continues, maybe that's not the best way to phrase that. It's my bad. If config debug, that's how I want to do it. And then I guess all the web UI is like changed as well. right? Like now I have this history search, unable to determine system history search functionality might not be working. Why not? An error occurred. Data events is null. But it did receive events, right? What is the search history data events type error? Is it like a JS thing? Oh yeah, it is. Error checking system status. So there's two errors going on, right? There's the system status, fetching, response, gets the whole file. So this, and then searching the events returns 0. Right, because so status returns the full HTML. Searching apparently returns no results and also triggers a JS error. So we're gonna do this, copy value as copy URL, and then data events is null. What the fuck? Copy object, and the response is null, right? As well. So where are we? This is the URL, and then this is the response, and then this is the search. Why is it I think there should be something in the database, which is, the database is, what did we call it? HistoryDB. Ah, burning money. All right, we're still doing our Argo CD. So current app status. All right, let's see. So we asked Sonnet, it like listed the ingress, the service, the deployment based. Here's how the example application is configured. Points to your GitHub repository, monitors the very clever AI Argo CD apps hello world path, automatically syncs changes, deployment runs a container with the placeholder image hello world latest, service expose it on port 80, configures external HTTPS access. The app is configured to be accessible at www.programwithai. Your infrastructure is set up. So what is the programwithai.ai? And then we have argocd.veryclever.ai. So they point to the right IP. Right? So did it change the file? Yeah, no, I don't want to change it. So the host name is correct, but if I go to program with AI, I don't think I hit the right endpoint. How can I debug this, right? If I do curl this, and actually, should I do, is it -I? Yeah. How can I debug this? Let's debug this step by step. So how can I run kube control here on my local machine, but hit the Kate's API on veryclever.ai? Or should we just use SSH? In the meantime, this is going to run some SQLite. Oh man, I love this. I shouldn't have done this investigation in M code. It's going to be too expensive. I have the kubeconfig file. I guess I do. But is it exposed? Wait. Oh. Yeah, why did it ask me to sudo this? Yeah, I think this goes to the firewall, huh? Of the droplet. Probably. All right, what is debugging doing? Okay, so I was looking for the time zone thing and I was looking for the globbing. So this is exactly what I had in mind when I was asking this. I was like more like curious, can it figure it out? Missing API status. So it fixed that. Did it? Where did it fix it? Oh yeah, it did. User searching for the wrong file name, but package api.go is. Let me create a simple fake and then we're gonna... No, so I don't care about that. So let's try again. I'm actually curious to see if I go to server.go, does it now have them? 404 page not found. What the fuck? Web UI available. So now it doesn't serve the API at all. Now I get a 404 on slash. Oh, address already in use? By whom? By this guy? Who's running on port 8080? 8088. Sniff writes. Where is it running? Oh, it's running as root. What? I wrote a tool the other day to do this. LSOF who? Oh yeah, man, this is. I forget about all this cool stuff that I do. Do you want to kill the server, the service? What the fuck is that? It's. Yeah, it is the debug logging thing, right? So yeah, I'm gonna kill it. Man, this is so cool. I forgot that I built this tool. So I'm gonna, yeah, I guess now. Yeah, why was it not loading that, the other version? Because now if I go to history search, the status is working. And then if I go from today, 6 a.m. to today, shut up. My cat's like upset because I never care about it. All right, so I do get these guys. And then is this file name pattern server.go? Oh yeah, it shows it to me. Okay, so we don't have the data to really do the bug report, but I guess we do have this. All right, well, time to commit. This was great. This was, I hope, worth the money. At least it told me. It taught me about a bunch. We're going to git ignore the databases. And then I think that's about it. So sparkles, add search UI for sniff writes. And we're still on the task add Nathan MCP, but whatever. And so we're back at our kube control thingy. So the kube control is not accessible from the API. So we're not going to try. We're just going to like SSH in and do it. So let's figure this out. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes. Because now the DNS update has happened, right? So we see that the Go worker is in a crash loop backoff, which is pretty good. Which means it's failing to start. And so now we can like have all these, I love this like agentic debugging because it fills in the details of what would be really annoying for me to do, yet it really guides me through the analysis, right? Exit code completes. So let's, for example, not a web server. You need to replace this with an actual web server. Let's see what other debugging we can do first. Sure, why not? And then I also have to go because when my cat whines, I get really stressed out. That's like the downside of the autism. So I can feel my stress going up. So I'll just finish that, have it run like a web server, and then it's going to be cool. So what kind of debugging is it doing here? Let's check what other exactly expected. Just prints a message and exits. And what is great about this is that I can take the log of this session, right, and like turn it into, make me a course about how this all works. So like file it into, I don't know. This is just like detail. I'll probably forget all about this, but for stuff that I would do regularly, this is going to be like pretty interesting. Like the traffic stuff, for example, I'm going to print out for tomorrow as a course to read at breakfast, and that's going to be pretty nice. So what is it doing here? It's getting Nginx Alpine, and it's going to do 80 this, the index. Let's fix this by to use a proper web server image, and then I'm going to git commit it, and then I guess we'd have to git push it. So it's taking care of all of that. Holy shit, my cat is stressing me out. I love this. This is just so cool. So if I go to Argo CD here, so I can see that it's now running Nginx. Oh man, I fucking love. See, like people hate on Kubernetes and say it's too much complexity, and I just don't get it. It's so like K3S, like you don't need to run like a you don't really need to run like a distributed backplane. It's just like it's so easy to set up K3S, just like not give a fuck about like shared storage or all the crazy stuff you could do if you want like distributed at scale, whatever. But as a single developer, just like install K3S and then just like write a couple of YAMLs and then you're done. Like I find that so much more easy to maintain in my head than like Ansible or stuff like that, right? Cool. So this works. Great. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, because now I can very easily just like deploy my applications on there and do all kinds of routing from traffic. And okay, so that was great. Update installation log. New information. And then create a to-do MD with the following ideas, which is package a custom web application for sign up for my course. And then package the stream live task view. That's it for now. And then that's the end of the session, I guess. And then hopefully next time I'll remember what to do, because I'm creating my todo.md. So. All right, overall, pretty successful. We created a design for T10 browser, which I just didn't implement because I don't want to burn through too much money for something that's like, I want to spend a little bit more time designing. We have a really nice search web UI for debugging the bug that happened that sadly I didn't get to record. But I do now have this this tool that I can use to record when I use mcode to do things. And we got our Argo CD to work, which is really, really cool. Sweet. That was tonight's session, and I hope you have a good evening.